Okay. There we go. So, welcome back. We have another PVZ. In the top left, we have Heartland Hitman Spectre. Diamond player. In the bottom right, we have NXC's MutalicRain. And I'm going to call him MutalicRain so many times. I assume this is a ladder game. And this is going to be on Whirlwind, which is a nightmare for pretty much anyone against Zerg. In my experience, both playing and observing. It is just such an enormous map. Let's talk about this map a little bit. If we're natural up here, pretty big ramp. This is basically as standard gets for naturals. The third is where things get a little bit more interesting. We have a natural third right here. Small ramp with some rocks to make it bigger. And this ramp over here, which is kind of the main entrance to it, is basically right up adjacent to your natural. Also have a sort of third over here, same idea. This area right here, super easy to defend, which is great for getting to 3 or even 4 bases. The problem is, there's all these other bases, which Zerg just loves. So the trick is kind of playing whack-a-mole with all the bases. And just keep the Zerg down. If you can keep them on 3, maybe even 4 bases while staying on 3 or 4 of your own, you're going to be okay. But if you let the Zerg run away on a map this big, you are going to have a bad time. Probe Scout coming in. Also seeing a gateway first opener. Gateway into gas. It's kind of a new thing, Heart of the Swarm. It's kind of making a resurgence. The Mothership Core basically negates the need for early cannons. Though this is... Spectre's probably going to be looking to put on some early pressure. Which again, given the size of this map, is not a bad idea at all. And MutalicRain has not scouted this at all. He doesn't even know where Spectre is yet. So he's just kind of blindly going... actually, this is good, I think, for MutalicRain. He's kind of blindly going into what I assume is a speedling expand. Which is get early speedlings, which gives you a lot of map control early on, and it will basically shut down any light gateway pressure. Assuming he's not forgetting. Okay. Going for a robo, still no expansion. This is... it's going to be quite gutsy indeed. I will open production. So, MutalicRain, one thing to watch for is he going to mine gas after the initial 100? So he's starting that Zergling speed, and he is not stopping the gas. Alright, some star sense from MutalicRain. He has not seen anything of Spectre. Not see this proxy pylon, does not see the robo plus single gate. This is a very what are you doing, Spectre? What is... ah, my brain hurts. What? And I don't mean that badly, I just mean this is confusing. Like, I don't really know what to say about this, because, okay, 1 gate, 1 robo, which is getting an immortal, and a forge. Okay. I will just say that because that is what's going on, and I don't know entirely what is the plan behind this. 2 more gateways being added on. If he does go... okay. I think I see what's going on here. So, the Forge, the +1 attack, on Zealots, a Zealot with +1 attack will 2-shot a Zergling. A Zealot without +1 attack will 3-shot a Zergling. So that +1 attack is so vital in an early push. And the 2 extra gates, kind of late, but they did line up so that he could get that early immortal, which will just devastate roaches. I don't know if he needed it that early, but if he pushes with Zealots and an immortal, or 2, or 3. You basically get the Immortal destroying all the roaches, you have the sentries and the zealots taking care of all the zerglings. And it is just a nightmare push. That proxy pylon was taken out. Not sure the positioning in hindsight, just because it's basically going to be scouted as he takes a quick third, which is super standard in ZVP. Though I think he's just kind of now realized he's on one base. Oh my god. So he's building up an army real quick, and this is definitely a good response, getting down spines very quickly. A lot of spine crawlers will help shut down a lot of early aggression from Protoss. Alright, this is a very small force. This is a very interesting version of the Sentry Immortal all-in. And this is basically an all-in at this point, because he has no expansion against a 3-base Zerg. And he has just seen this army with the Overlord that was killed. Oh, and he's going to see... I believe he got a glimpse of the Warp Prison, which is not unreasonable to expect anyway. So let's see what he has to prepare against this. This 3 Immortals can do a ridiculous amount of damage. And hitting at the 9-minute mark. Oh, but a flank from the side. The force fields were not there. Oh, those force fields are very late. But it might be just enough zealots to take care of the lings. And the Immortals will shred those roaches. Alright, this has suddenly gotten very scary. I don't think he can get up this ramp, but he should be able to take out the 3rd. So if I was in his position, I would take out that 3rd and just go on home. Especially with a base coming up from behind. So he is able to get himself back into this game. If he takes out this 3rd, he'll be on sort of even footing. Especially after killing all that. Jesus. Okay. Yeah, that is, I believe that's the definition of cost-effective right there. 2650 to 400. He has lost 3 units. So even with the late force fields, that attack was just absolutely brutal. I think poking up here is okay, but I'm not sure if he's overcommitting. All those Zerglings now. Force fields have dried up. Does get the reinforcements with the Warp Prison, but the Queen... Oh, dropped the Immortal just in time. 14 kill Immortal, 18 kill Immortal, and he just barely overextended, I think. With the next swell of Zerglings, he should be taken out. Those Immortals should probably be getting home. He's going to see what he can get done with them. 20 kill, 19 kill, but against Zerglings and Queens, they're just not going to do much. By the way, Queen is... sadly doesn't show it down there, but the Queen is neither light nor armored, so it does not take extra damage from Immortals. Alright, these Immortals are doing way more than I thought they would. Gonna take out the spawning pool. These Zerglings will definitely clean this up. But if you can get the spawning pool, that is a victory. Alright. Finally cleaned up. And as the dust settles, we have 31 drones to 25 probes. 2 base to 2 base. Okay, that was a very unorthodox play, but man, that was just a brutal push. And for Zerg, if you see a Protoss on one base, you know something is coming, and you really need to be ready for that something. So Mutalik might have gotten actually a little greedy with that early 3rd. It's so easy to assume that... oh, nice force shield. It's so easy to assume that a Protoss is just going to have that base up, and you're going to see a forge and a cannon, and all the usual stuff at the front, but... Spectre playing some mind games there. Another factor for this was the... Sorry, I was looking at the chat and got distracted by imperative in his all caps. Another factor for this was the scouting is going to be so much more difficult for Mutalik, just because this huge distance. So, assuming that Protoss is playing standard, Spectre might have been counting on that and done some serious damage. And yeah, you do not want to attack into a Sentry Immortal force unless you are absolutely sure that you're not doing it right there. Because right there, in a choke, force fields make it so easy to split up exactly how you want as Protoss. Oh, and yeah, these little attack forces just not worth it. Absolutely hammered back. At this point, the supplies are relatively even. And he keeps wanting to push in to do damage. But these Immortals are just going to stop Roaches cold. Already up to 9 kills between them. Especially with this little choke here, if he gets it blocked off with Zealots, this army is going to do nothing at all. So in Zerg's position, it might be a good idea to put up kind of a soft contain. In this open area, you're much more powerful with those Lings, even against a handful of Zealots and some Sentries. It's much harder for Protoss to defend instead of right there in that little choke. And drone up behind it, which I think is... It is what he's doing. He's building 7 drones. So he's going to contain Spectre on 2 bases, watching for that third, or the likely spot of the third. Wouldn't mind a single Zergling up here just to triple check. Finally hitting a bit of a lull. We're seeing a Colossus Tech, which is kind of a natural extension going from the Robo. Definitely need that splash damage against Zerg. Does not know if the third base is retaken. Sort of safe to assume, but we saw what assumptions did to the Zerg. So getting that scouting information is, I think, kind of the top priority at this point. Finding out what the Zerg is doing. So the Zerg sees that army. Oh, he's going to try for the run-by. Has he completely blocked that? He did not block that off completely. Oh, this is brutal. He's going to have to turn around. And as soon as he gets through there, which he should very soon... If he can get through and get some damage in, this will be totally worth it, but the army coming back... Oh, just not a cost-efficient trade. And by not cost-efficient, I mean twice as not cost-efficient. Thing is, though, the Zerg is now sort of on 3 bases. Does need to saturate this pretty quick. And Mutalis. So the thing about Mutalis in PvZ is that if you're ahead, they're fantastic for securing a win. And if your opponent doesn't have any anti-air, they are pretty awesome too. Take out a Colossus, and this is just completely blindsided Spectre. And this is kind of what I was talking about with the scouting information that he really needed to know. And with that Robo, he could have built an observer. Actually, quite a few observers. And just get that information, and he needs to know what's coming at him. Because without any anti-air, this Mutalis ball, I assume, is going to have reinforcements on the way. No, he's actually getting some roaches and journeying up behind this. Should probably take this gas. One thing I want to talk about briefly. Spectre saying, I should have known to expect mutas. You should have considered them as a possibility, but more importantly, you should have scouted for them. Because you had nothing ready for that. As you getting some Stargates up, going for some Phoenixes, I assume, but the bind that he's in now is that he cannot take this third base with what he has now. He has to spend all his energy just chasing around these mutas, pretty much to the Benny Hill theme until the end of time. Meanwhile, Zerg is saying, oh yeah, I'm playing Whirlwind, and takes half the map. And there's really nothing Protoss can do about this. So I'm going to be very curious to see how he gets himself out of this one. I feel like that's a terrible sitcom segue. Is getting some Stalkers up. only +1 attack, and Mutas have no upgrades, and none on the way. He's actually upgrading his ground army, which I think is a reasonable idea. These Mutas are basically designed to just keep the Protoss in their base and not let him expand. Kill some probes, great. They're not going to do any super serious damage at this point, but the damage is more indirect. The Protoss cannot leave, they cannot take another base. And building up the ground army behind this for the inevitable, I'm screwed, I'm just going to attack push that a lot of Protosses usually do, I think is definitely the right decision. Because getting stuck on Mutas too much, if they get some Archons up, then you're suddenly in a bit of trouble. So the counterplay to Mutas, which is usually involves Archons, that's what Roaches are fantastic against. And getting the +2 attack for range and +2 carapace, which is ahead of Protoss, only has +1 attack, no defense, no shields, no armor. This I really like. Getting the counterattack in, it gets past this soft contain, gonna do some damage, very annoying to deal with, though I think once he kind of realizes what's going on, he does have a pretty big amount of Zerglings. So he shouldn't have too much trouble defending this. Just split up the Zerglings a little bit to either side. Should be sending some back, but he's not reacting to this as quickly as he should. That base is actually in a good bit of trouble now. Phoenixes coming up with a range upgrade. So this is going to be the way he gets himself out of this one. This Zealot is doing way more damage than it has any right to. But this is what happens when you... Oh, if he just sent back, like, that many Zerglings. And the Zerglings are not going to be all that fantastic against this army anyway, which is very Zealot and Colossus heavy. So the Lings, which are very quick and mobile, are great for base defense. This Queen just barely makes it with the +2/+2 against an unupgraded Zealot. Good to know, actually. Can just take it up in a straight-up fight. Warp Prism looking to do some damage. Third base going down. This is the moment of truth. Can he hold this third base? Of course, the other question is, can Mutalik know about the third base? These Phoenix are giving some pretty good map control in terms of keeping the vision down for Mutalik. Just, these Zerglings are not being as active as they could be. They could be scouting around, they could be defending that drop that did so much damage. These Phoenixes are giving a little bit of room, but oh, this base. If all those Zerglings just ran over you, you'd snipe it very easily. But again, it's a battle of knowledge at this point. Whirlwind is so big that it's all about being able to actually get out there and know what your opponent is doing, to be able to stop whatever they have planned. Getting some Void Arrays up. And the Templar Archives as well, looking... might go into Sky Toss at this point. With the Templars for Storms. And I believe he had gotten a +1 air attack upgrade. And yeah, he finally saw that base, and there's not really any way for Spectre to hold that. Warp Prism can't really get much done at this point. He is... what? Oh, Spectre. Fancy. Alright. So Spectre's going for a base down here. He says, alright, if you're going to deny me that base quite that often, I'm just going to take a base down there. And I think that is a gutsy move, but again, Whirlwind is such a big, big map that actually scouting can be tricky. Sending a single... sending a single Zergling out to just chill out at every base. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 Zerglings. And you basically just have total map vision. I would recommend that to any Zerg on this map. Because Zerglings are so cheap and they make just... you can even just patrol a Zergling. I actually saw a pro match in GSL where that happened. Made me quite happy. So we got some Swarm Hosts out. And this is basically putting a timer on Spectre. Where if he doesn't have the damage to instantly kill all this Locust before they start doing damage, all this damage is free. So there's 150 minerals. And Void Rays against Locusts, not quite so much. And, okay, Spectre, we may need an intervention. You have some problems. I know you love expanding in crazy places, but... oh, you're a madman. And yeah, he's just starting to chip away at this wall. I don't know if he'll make more Storm Hosts behind this. This is kind of a nice little number just to put on some pressure, especially with this army out here just waiting for anything to come out to try and deal with it. See, Swarm Hosts. This is basically the Swarm Host's big brother. Saying, if you're going to mess with us, you got to mess with all of us. But now the Zerg is so focused on this up here that he's not going to see these two bases. This base is starting to mine. Alright. Getting some Tempest out. And, oh, it looks like he's just going to go for it. And that's not going to work. Still has that Colossus in there. He has chipped away the front of the wall, but he is going to need something more to back this up. Flings were pretty expendable, but I don't think it was quite worth the trade in that case. Also going to need... by the way, this is very smart. An Overseer with some Hydras will snipe out any Observer that would allow the Tempest to start shooting down the Swarm Hosts. And those Tempests really want to be on the Swarm Hosts, and not so much on... you're making a mothership. Spectre. Spectre, you're insane. Alright, that mothership is going to allow with all that cloaking. Yeah, here comes the Observer, but that Overseer's going to be able to spot it. He might be able to snipe the Observer. There's lots of storms going down. And there goes the entire Zerg army. Maybe. Oh, the Corruptor stand and the Swarm Host with just barely any health. Then again, his Phoenixes with barely any health. This is about as close as it gets. As the dust settles, the Swarm Hosts still remain, and they are still a problem. I don't know if his Observer is still there. I'm going to minimize those, hopefully improve my frame rate. Alright. Alright, we're good. So splash damage. Oh, these Swarm Hosts are just not being dealt with yet. 6 kills, 4 kills. These are on expensive Protoss units. Meanwhile, he's built gas. He does not care. Alright, this is Spectre's new home down here. And Zerg thinks he's got him on these 2 bases. Like, yeah, I'm on 5 base, he's on 2. Where's he getting all this stuff? It is just absolutely maddening. So going in for the attack again. Colossus gonna go down with all those roaches, just not gonna be able to shoot through them in time. Needs Immortals, needs more Void Rays. Never have enough Void Rays. And these Tempests are not high DPS. They're great for sniping out high priority targets. Especially great at things like killing Brood Lords. If I was Zerg, I would imagine I'd won at this point. But knowing Spectre, he's insane. So, never count him out. Roaches and Zerglings just running up, destroying everything. Just this air army cannot kill things fast enough. These Void Rays being a little lazy. More air coming out. More Tempests. Alright, going mass Tempest when you just lost your entire fucking base. Truly. Truly a hero for the ages. Might actually clean this up. I'm actually surprised Zerg isn't just streaming in reinforcements. Again, he might... is he even doing anything? He's not doing anything. He thinks he's just won the game. Okay. Yeah, he's not making anything at all. He's just waiting for Spectre to leave when Spectre has these two bases. And he is going to clean this up. Oh, this is the price of hubris. Assuming Spectre actually can come back. Alright, 13 kill Tempest, 14 kill Tempest, 20 kill Tempest. 0. Alright, this is the newbie Tempest. He needs to learn a thing or two. Phoenix is coming in. Alright, MutalicRain sitting on 5k minerals. And I will not be very pleased with him if he loses this match after that. At this point, he should be expanding all over the place, getting gas up, just getting hatcheries up, getting production up. And I can't wait for that one moment when he learns that there's more bases than just that one up there. And he is actually just going for the counterattack, trying to kill off this base. Which is completely reasonable if Spectre didn't also have these. Alright, Tempest. Putting him back into this game. What is... Oh, Zerg has gone back and rethought his life. And figured he might as well try and defend against this army. Still not building anything. He's not been very on top of that. 2-2, which is nice, against just +1 attack for air. The Phoenix is saving the day with the mutas. Tempest should be able to get back. Tempest has so much, 450 total health, including shields. Very beefy units, and here's the moment. Here's the moment of, oh, you expanded on my half of the map. Huh. A bit of a surround, but there's so much dead space here. Although Phoenixes are fantastic against Hydras in small numbers. They do bonus damage to light, and the lifts, just taking them out of the equation, is very, very powerful. Lots of Hydraling coming in now, though, and Hydraling against Tempest, Phoenix, not so good. Building some carriers now, because when you've lost everything, build carriers. It is not Dark Shrines, as previously thought. Alright, Zerg is just now expanding, which I think he's kind of realized, oh, there's still a game going on. I should do something about that. So definitely the right decision, even if it's a bit late. Much better late than never. And the problem now is that Spectre doesn't really have anything to clear out these Zerglings, which don't have any attack upgrade, but they do have +2 Carapace, which is going to help actually quite a bit against the carriers, because I talked about before, the plus upgrade, the plus attack for carriers is basically +1 attack is +16 damage, because 8 interceptors all attack twice. So the problem is, against armor, every bit of armor is -16 damage from a carrier. Just exactly for that reason. So these Zerglings are going to be surprisingly durable, especially against a carrier that only has +1 attack. Although if you ever want to see anything hilarious, try a fully upgraded Ultralisk against the carrier, see how long that takes to kill. Colossus does come out, but... oh my god, is that Colossus going to live? No, he's going to go down. Valiant effort. Taking that out was definitely the priority for Zerg, and Zerg might be able to push in and... oh, with the carriers backing up the Tempest now. Chartreuse as well. I don't know how a Spectre is hanging on. Killing the probes, important, but... checking out the units lost. Actually evened up somewhat. And the great thing about this building placement, actually, is that all these air units can basically treat these buildings as dead space to hang out and shoot from. One little note there, and Zerg has no income. Where has all your income gone? Fort Prison down there. I don't know where all his income has gone. I don't think he's just... I think he's just not been making drones. Which is... Actually, he is nearly broke at this point. So despite all this... Yeah, only 7 drones here. 6 here on minerals. Alright, now he's starting to rebuild some drones a bit, but it might be too little too late. Though to be fair, there are only 3 probes on the map. And this is basically Spectre's only base. This is his only chance at mining. He might eventually be able to expand back in down there, but he's going to need to do some damage with the army that he has right now. All those spurs might make that difficult, but Tempests kind of excel at the long-range sieging. And carriers are also pretty durable. 26 kill carrier. Sky Toss, pretty good. 29-27. Alright. It's a huge round of Zealots to bring this back in, because he still has all this infrastructure back home. He also could be making Templars. So might eventually see those. Takes out this base. And is expanding up here. So Zerg is now the one on the timer. And with only 28 drones, that's not really much of an income. How much larva does he have? He has 23 larvae, and he just cannot build anything from them. He just has so few drones. So Spectre now is doing this slow push up here, and he's slowly getting his economy back on track from nothing. Getting some drones out. Might want to move some to here. But just as Zerg, what can you do against this army at this point in the game where you think you've won and you just did not scout enough? This base down here was the last stronghold, but it held true. To the point of 31 kill Tempests with +2 attack. Alright. That is some good times right there. Immediately building press up here. And Spectre really has not missed a beat on keeping his economy as intact as he could. Which, if he wins this game, and it's actually looking like he can, I think that's going to be a large part of that. Is that the Zerg just kind of gave up on his economy. Said, oh yeah, I won, whatever. I'll just go in and kill him and have no APM. And suddenly when he realized, oh, there's actually stuff still being built and he still has an income, it was just not in time. And he has all these larvae. 31 larvae, he just has no money to actually produce from them. And again, these bases that were taken very late, just not in time. So quick tip, for everyone, for every race, never assume you win the game. If you think you did, just start expanding everywhere. Because that's a reasonable way to spend your money if you have just absolutely battered someone down. It's the old... I guess I can't really call it the old saying, but it's the saying of, one ahead, get more ahead, which is a favorite of Artosis. Do you have some Corruptor sort of Hydra coming in now? No upgrades on the Corruptors. Still 2-2 for the ranged units. Building more Corruptors, which, without the upgrades, I don't know if it's a good idea or not. It's kind of the natural impulse for Zerg. And it will take out the Colossus as well, which is going to allow Hydras and even Roaches to an extent to do, just any ground army, to do a lot better than it otherwise could have. And again, he's not going to see the space up here. Spectre is just a ninja at bases. Alright, this is basically a repeat from earlier in the game, where Zerg sort of has a self-contained setup, but once again just does not know about important things, such as bases. Scout, scout, scout. Use those Zerglings. Alright, the Corruptors are moving in, looking for some kills. And actually we'll get some. Yeah, oh. Corruptors so good against massive air targets. Which basically is this entire army. The Tempest, the Colossus, and the Carrier all taking massive, massive damage from those Corruptors. Needed some Void Rays in there to actually take care of those. Is going to... Oh my god, are you serious? He is going to hang on. Stop breaking physics. Gah. A few Stalkers would be nice in hindsight, but you can sort of afford them. But I think he's putting all his gas towards actual air units. Stream of reinforcement Lings coming in here, especially with that Colossus dead. These Lings are going to be pretty difficult to deal with. Zealots are now on 1-1. Ling's still on 0-2. It might... And suddenly more Zealots. Alright. So again, going for that killing blow. But he should have used those Zealots, or excuse me, those Lings to scout that he has another base down here. Spectre, Base Ninja. That is your new ID. Okay, you know how the Koreans all have, you know, X-King? I think you need to be Ninja Base King. Base King? Ninja King? I don't know. Something King that involves hidden expansions. This Void Ray apparently takes out 2 Corruptors. Largely part because of that Prismatic Beam. The +2 attack on the Prismatic Beam against no upgrade Corruptor is pretty good. So at this point, when there's no more massive targets, he's going to get another Tempest and another Colossus. But I don't think Corruptors are really going to be the answer unless he starts getting some upgrades for them. Alright, this base is now up and running, fully saturated, and completely undetected by the Zerg. The Zerg is just tunnel vision so hard. And I don't want to say it's luck that Spectre has gotten these bases up and running without being detected, because, again, Whirlwind is just such a huge map. And even if one of these gets scouted and the other one remains, it was worth it. Just getting that income up, especially when you're being just held back in what is apparently your new base. So Roaches against Zealots. 2-2 Roaches against 1-1 Zealots without charge. Actually not so good for the Zealots, but with Tempests and Void Rays and a couple Stalkers and the Colossus, I'll put a timer on them. Pretty hard. So I'm curious if... Okay, he has gone up to 40 drones again. Actually just rebuilt a pretty large amount of them. And he's so broken. He has 32 larvae. Could have done so much more with that. Forcing the engagement here, which is what Tempests are pretty good at. And more Stalkers means even harder time for those Corruptors. Will take out the Colossus though, and that is pretty huge. These Roaches need to kite. But with the Zerglings coming in, he might actually be able to barely take out this ground army. Does leave the air army. And he does know about this base now, which is super important. I can only imagine he's just kicking himself over not having seen that. Meanwhile, Spectre does know about this base up here. Not this base down here, but you can kind of assume if this base is taken. Might actually be able to take it out. Game went from interesting to kind of boring deuces. And there might actually be a GG shortly. Yes, there is the GG. Alright, if you take anything from this game at all, it is scout, 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 scout. Send an observer out, send a probe out, send a Zergling out, put it on patrol to go through all these bases. But but it was Spectre's hidden bases that just absolutely won him the game. And now whenever I play Spectre, I'm going to be checking every freaking... Even if... I would not put him past him. I would not put it past him. Just put a base like in the weeds right here. Just sitting there. Somehow collecting minerals. Somehow powering a giant air army. That was definitely a very fun game. GG to both players. MutalicRain definitely had him just so close to actually dead. Just did not take into account that scouting. Alright, that was a very fun game. Hope you enjoyed it. And I always want to say I'll see you guys next time, but that's Husky's thing. So I feel like I'm subconsciously channeling that. Oh, what to say? I could sing. No, I can't sing. That's actually illegal in like 30 states. I could just